Merhaba, Ni Hao. I'm Marsha Hall, Research Officer at the ACIJ JMB. Welcome to Curating Culture.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode in the series Curating Culture. Today we have an exciting episode where we have Mrs. Anne-Marie Howard-Brown from the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, and she's going to tell us all about their work in preserving Jamaica's cultural heritage. So listen about Mrs. Brown. Anne-Marie Howard-Brown, she's a curator of artifacts in the Archaeology Division of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust. She joined the staff of JNHT in 1995 in the capacity of Artifacts Officer and was promoted to the post of Curator of Artifacts in 1997. Before joining the staff at the JNHT, she taught history at Woodman's High School for Girls and social studies at Bridgeport High. She's a trained teacher and an archaeologist who studied at the Michael Teachers College and the University of the West Indies. But those who don't know, I myself am also a trained archaeologist, even though my view of preserving Jamaican culture has changed over time. So for today's topic, she'll be talking about the role of the Archaeology Division of the JNHT in curating Jamaica's material cultural heritage. The mandate of the JNHT is to promote the preservation and development of Jamaica's material cultural heritage. The Archaeology Division, which she's one of the team members, is tasked with safeguarding material cultural heritage. Their work entails the protection and documentation of the island's historical and archaeological assets. This research is done through conservation, public education, and internal collaboration. The division is divided in specialized units, which operates in synergy to ensure that Jamaica's material cultural heritage is preserved for future generations. So everyone, please help me welcoming Mrs. Anne-Marie Howard-Brown.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes, thanks for coming. I'm really looking forward to learning more because, of course, we in the space know about the JNHT. I'm sure the wider public is aware of what a heritage site is, but I hope your presentation will bring more light to archaeology, the specialized field of archaeology in preserving Jamaican material cultural heritage.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me. Well, I know most persons must have been wondering, there are really archaeologists in Jamaica? Yes, they are. And we're doing a good job at this time curating the culture and curating the material culture, the culture that shows us what persons have used. So, at the JNHT, we try to make sure that once the artifacts or any feature, any historical or archaeological feature is in danger, we try to save it. Yes. Okay. So, curating. Most persons are wondering, how come you can curate with archaeology? Well, once we select and organize and try to preserve and safeguard this material culture that is curated. So we have seen archaeology, and most people have been watching movies with archaeologists, but our main aim is to make sure that we study human past cultures through what they have used. So sometimes people might say, oh, we have the dance, we have the music, but what did these people use? So that is our job. And these things that the persons have used, we call it artifacts. So the artifacts are anything that was used and made by the human beings, by man and woman, not leaving all the women. And once they have used it, and there's a particular age which UNESCO has put 100, sometimes 50, sometimes 100 years old. So that will be regarded as an artifact. So archaeology has a lot of specialization areas. But in Jamaica, what we do is rescue archaeology and public archaeology. And from the PowerPoint presentations, you see pictures of us doing the work as archaeologists. Now, the Archaeology Division is divided into 5 main units. If we were supposed to leave the job for one person, it would not be completed. So we have 5 units, and this is a field unit, a finds unit, conservation unit, research unit, and a heritage preservation and planning unit. These units work together. All of us, although we are in separate units, we all work together to make sure that we preserve the material cultural heritage. So the field unit are the persons who go out and do field work. These are the people who would actually do the archaeology, what people know as the archaeology, which is the excavation of the sites. All of us, including finds and conservation, will also go out with them. Now, archaeology is not just digging the ground. It's very specific. So people might say, but I can, what do you call it? Protect my
If they go to their backyard, they can just
dig it up. No. Although Jamaica is all of Jamaica is an archaeological site. People don't want us to know, let them know, because once they hear that, they know that we will have to come in. So we are very specific and scientific. First of all, if we're doing an academic research, we have to make sure that the site that we go on, it is laid out in grid form. So just as how you see the maps laid out in longitude and latitude lines, that is how, or the graph paper, that is how we have to lay it out, because it tells us a specific area on the ground that we're going to retrieve the artifacts. We also use GPS readings and mapping. So maps and GPS readings are very important. Another thing is archaeology. And archaeology is a kind of destructive way of studying history, meaning that once we take the things out of the ground, you can't put it back. So recording, writing, making sure that you have all the information is very, very important. So in doing that, we also have to record, film. So we take photographs, we illustrate, we make sure that everything is written down. Because taking the artifact out of a particular area is going to tell us the history of the people who lived there and what was taking place around an area. We also record what we see in the field. So the finds unit, which is the next unit, will also record what you see. So there are 2 types of archaeology that we do. Mainly terrestrial, which is land, and marine. So we do have notable archaeologists now at the JNHT.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because I remember a few years ago that wasn't the case.
Yes, and they're all Jamaicans and they all work at the JNHT. So big up everybody, all the archaeologists. Yes, so we do underwater and we do land. Land archaeology is the marine archaeology is the same steps as the land. So not because you're underwater, we still have to do the grading, we still have to do all the lineups, we still have to do the surveys and taking pictures. We still have to also record all the artifacts on the labels that we find, because as I said, we will destroy this site. Okay, the next unit that we're going to go on to now is our finds unit. The finds unit is the unit that actually analyzes the artifacts. So once the artifacts are retrieved, they're sent to the finds unit where they are washed and they are cleaned. And we analyze these artifacts and we make sure that all the information, all the field notes and everything that was retrieved with the artifact is there. The JNHT archaeologists were actually public archaeologists, meaning that we do work for Jamaica. So you have persons who will just specialize in research, but we are the ones who will go out and make sure that all the built and whether above ground, underground, or underwater artifacts are retrieved and they're safe. So the first thing that we do is that we make sure that we do all the archival and cartographic work. So we look for all the information in the libraries, the archives, and we also make sure that all the maps. So NLA and Jamaica Archives, your library, National Library of Jamaica are our source. Okay. We also look at how. So if we're going to do a plantation, we look at how the plantation was set up based on the maps that were drawn, and then we will identify where we find artifacts and other features.
And based on where you find your artifacts and other features, that
Yes.
will help you along in your research to know who might have used these things, what
Yes.
they were used for,
Right.
so forth.
Yes, so that is how we curate the art, the material culture. But then, more exciting is that Jamaica is developing. We do a lot of infrastructure development. So we have to be there when they're doing the roads. So Highway 2000, we have to make sure we walk the area, take mappings, do surveys, illustrate what we have seen. We have done housing schemes, hotels. So once the developers know that there are archaeologists in Jamaica, and now I'm noticing that it's now a mandate that they do an archaeological impact assessment. This is the assessment that whether what I'm going to do is going to interfere with the culture, with the material culture. So we do a lot of monitoring and a lot of walking. And the hot sun. All right, but yes. So on we will see that we have also done monitoring of farmer pair. When they were dredging farmer pair, we had to do that because we know that shipwrecks are underwater. When they were doing the digital building, and I'm sure everybody knows where the digital building is, right? That used to be the ordnance yard based on history for the military. So we know exactly what we're going to find. We found cannons, cannonballs. We rescued some in order to show persons how to be there. But we know we can't rescue everything, so we have to rescue samples. So we make a note of what is there.
Also, artifacts are still left at the site.
Yes, most of the sites, artifacts are still there. So what we do is take samples. The best way to make sure the artifacts are intact is to keep them where they are. Once they are not in danger, we will not excavate and we will not rescue.
Interesting. Because I remember what year was it excavating?
Oh my gosh, I cannot remember right now. I think it was about 2012, 2013.
Yeah, it could have been because I remember in school that was a pretty big site.
Yeah.
When they found all those all the cannonballs and the cannons, it was kind of unprecedented. And even though they were aware that this was a site for the military, I still don't think they expected to find much thing.
No, they did not. They did not. So that is the reason why we are important. And that's the reason why we do the job that we're doing. Archaeology helps persons to go back into history, helps us to understand the society at that time. What are persons using? All right, so that's the field and the finds unit. We also have a research unit, and this unit does the preservation of actual buildings. So they're the ones who would research the titles, if persons want their buildings to be declared, if they want their just a small building, a whole town. So this is the research unit, and that's what they use. So for declaration of buildings and features. Hopefully one day we'll declare some artifacts. Alright. And then we have an important unit, and all of us, the field finds and research works with this unit. And this unit is called the Heritage Preservation and Planning Unit. This unit is a unit that deals with us being on the World Heritage List. Right. So us being on the World Heritage List, this is a unit that does all the research along with all the different units collaborating. We have been hearing about a lot of sites on World Heritage List, and it's important because we want to safeguard not only the history, but also the flora and fauna of places that are important. Our first, yay, World Heritage Site is the Blue and Drum Mountain, and it's a mixed site, meaning that we refine cultural heritage, so practices and the flora and the fauna in that. All right, so that's what we have been doing, but there's one unit, and again, and this unit we cannot do without. This is our conservation unit. Archaeology, as I said, once you take the artifacts out of the ground, then we start destroying the artifact. Because if anything is buried, they will be acclimatized to the environment. But once we expose them, and most of these things, for example, the time artifacts, most of them have been buried from about 1500. And taking them out in 2025, with our climate change, it's going to deteriorate. So we have a conservation unit who assists with the preservation. So they would use chemical and physical means of preserving the artifacts, stabilizing them, making sure that they are not going to be deteriorating as fast as they would have if we left them not conserved. So they also, apart from artifacts, they also conserve monuments, and they give advice to persons who want with anything at all, any monument, any artifact, anything they want to conserve, they give you.
With all this, when you mentioned earlier that Jamaica is essentially one big heritage site,
Archaeological site.
one big archaeological site,
Yes.
and when you think of persons just in their backyards and they find, or even if not even digging up in their backyard, even in their house, they have the old irons that their grandmother had, or like an old grate. So those are artifacts.
Yeah,
But people don't think of that in that sense, because there's no conservation that's happening. These things get rusty,
Right.
they degrade. So it's the JNHT. What I wanted to ask is, does the JNHT do conservation for private individuals?
Yes, they do. They do. So once, yes, and at a cost.
Okay, so
it's at a cost.
cost.
Yes, so once they get in touch with us and they give us an idea of what they want to be conserved, then we will give them all the details. Persons who also want to do archaeological research, they can apply to the JNHT. So we also have universities here like Simon Fraser University and other universities that come do their field work here and in Jamaica. But anything that is taken, it has to go through the JNHT. It has to go through customs. They will do their research and they will give us copies and the artifacts remain here. If they have to do further study, then we will discuss all of that.
Because a big joke on the internet right now is the British Museum. It's a very big joke to come in
Yes,
social
I know,
media.
I know.
The British Museum, there's so many artifacts, so many items, not just from different places, but people don't know that even Jamaican artifacts were taken from Jamaica are being housed by the British Museum. The Galapagos was repatriated the other day through the work of the Natural History and UA Museum, but there's still a lot of other like terrestrial physical artifacts that the British Museum has. Lots of Taino,
Kind of artifacts,
kind of prehistoric artifacts from enslavement. So British Museum, please give us back up. Give us back our thing. See, Jamaica has, because as you said, a lot of people aren't aware that there is an archaeology unit in Jamaica doing world-class work. So it's not that we are incapable of maintaining these things. Give us back our things.
Right. And with the 5 units, persons are really surprised because they cannot believe that Jamaica, little Jamaica, but they always call it little Jamaica, that Jamaica has professionals who work in this field, and we are all Jamaicans.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know that there were so many units up there.
Yes.
I thought it was just archaeologists, and the archaeologists basically I figured there were also conservationists.
Yes.
But I just figured that the archaeologists did all of the work. I didn't realize that the department was divided up in, and that's really good.
Yeah, because you see, people think that you just dig the artifact out of the ground and that is it. No. You have to make sure that every piece that you dig, every sherd is counted for, recorded, analyzed, researched. So, can you imagine, we only have one person doing all that?
Well, when I was in school, I guess they were training us to be all-rounded, but we were the one people.
I know. We were in total like us too. But once you're all-rounded, then coming into the Archaeology Division, you will fit in anywhere because UE trains all of us and make sure that we are knowledgeable.
Yes. A lot of people don't know that it's a course upper that you guys history and archaeology.
Yes. There's a degree called. Yeah, man. So we have gathered all this information. What do we do with it? So we attend seminars. We have workshops. We make sure that the students. So if students are doing their CSET syllabus, no, even from first home, once they're doing a topic, if they're doing the Chinos, we will carry the Chino artifacts to show them. If they're doing enslavement, enslaved Africans, yes. Port Royal, I know everybody wants to know city Port Royal artifacts. Yes, we do have the other one for Port Royal artifacts too. So once we get the information, we try to make sure, curating the artifacts, giving information to people is one way. So they know that these things exist. Sometimes I tell the students that we are the policemen of the history. Because, when policeman goes to the crime scene, he has to take all the evidence and so on. So we take evidence. Yes, we have read it in our books that the Chinos existed, but how do we know? We find the actual pot that they have used. We find all the tools. We even find burial sites.
I thought it was interesting that you mentioned the Chinos. I have a brother, he's much older than you, and he said when he was going to school, he learned about the Arawaks.
Yes.
When I talk about Chinos, he's like, Chinos, and I said, no, that's outdated information. That was information before. There was archaeological excavation, there's archaeological evidence.
Right.
People are becoming more well read about this topic. So it's the same thing. Yes, few decades ago the information wasn't as accurate. But with the JNHT and its many units in the archaeology department, you're able to give accurate information.
Yes, we are.
Archaeology.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So we even do symposiums with ACIJ, IOJ, we even do Archaeological Society of Jamaica. So we try in a small way, and one day we hope it will get big, a small way to show persons that yes, we may not be Egypt, right?
Yeah,
but we have our own artifacts, and these artifacts will let us be proud of the people. Because as the China artifacts, persons have read that Columbus came and he saw an uncivilized people. No, when you look at the artifacts and how they were made and the knowledge that were passed down, we realize that
they were well organized. They were just civilized in their own way, and they were very productive. I remember my first, and no, it wasn't my only site, was a Taino site, and it was just so exciting finding the clay shards or finding the modified bones.
Yes.
And you learn about how they modify things around them to use them in their everyday lives. So we found modified shells, modified coney bones. We found shards. We found what we essentially call rubbish, but that in archaeology, the most exciting part. Yes. The rubbish is the most exciting in archaeology.
Yes, it is. You just need to find a rubbish heap.
You just need to find
and you know exactly how persons live.
Exactly. So maybe, in a few hundred years.
Yes.
People, future archaeologists, future JNHT archaeologists, the future archaeologists will find our own rubbish heaps.
And it will be filled with plastic. And a number of cell phone. Yeah, Max. So, JNHT and the Archaeology Division try to maintain the standard that it's international.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of international cooperation. We work with UNESCO. We work with persons from all over in order to make sure that our standard is as high as theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes ours is higher. Because, as I said, people coming here, activists coming here, think that, it's Jamaica. But when they see the standards that we put, because it's our culture, it's our material cultural heritage, and we have to protect it. We have to make sure that it's there for our generation and not let it be taken away. Not let it be, not anymore. Not anymore. We can't let anything away. Yes, so we try our best, and we have been doing a good job of securing the material cultural heritage of Jamaica. What we cannot say, we rescue. We try to make sure that documentation is there.
Okay, fish. Alright, so thank you so much. So I wrote down a few notes. We kind of went through them. A little bit.
Yeah.
But I wanted you to get more into the process after the artifacts have been excavated now. Give me just a glimpse of the process. So from excavation to basically conservation and storage.
All right. So, first of all, I need to tell everyone in Jamaica, we do not use a backhoe, we do not use shovel, we use a trowel, just like the Mason's trowel. Mm-hmm. But ours are different. I didn't want to bring the secret weapon here. So, yeah. So once after the artifacts are out of the ground, we wash them and sort them. So we know that artifacts are made up of different type of material. I cannot go through them right now because this will take the whole day. Come to the JNHT if you want a lesson. Alright? We give tours, Yes, we do. We give tours so persons can come for tours.
Go to JNHT
and learn. Yeah, so after they have been washed and sorted, so in short, we know ceramics are hardier, so they won't melt in water. Mm-hmm. But metal, so everything metal, we dry brush those. We use ordinary water, no bleach, no soap, ordinary water and a toothbrush. And we take off the dirt. Now, why we do this is because we need to see if there's any pattern that can assist us in studying further what the artifact is like. Sometimes we have maker's marks. These are the marks that persons who make the pottery put on it. Mm-hmm. So once we find a maker's mark, we can say, okay, this is from this person. This is from this particular ceramic shop. China, we don't find maker's mark, but we find a lot of different marks. Okay. And most of the marks are geometrical. So we find a lot of triangular marks. We find a lot of, no circles, but mainly lines or triangle. China has something special in their clay. They always put either sand or ground shells in the clay for the temple. So that's the difference between a tiny pot, if you see a tiny pot on the side, or enslaved African. So once they are washed, they're dried, sunshine. We don't put them in the microwave. We don't go dry them. Sunshine. So there, and then they go to the analyzing table where they analyze the metal pieces and those that we realize that will be decaying very soon. Once we analyze, label, get correct information for them, we send them to the conservation department. The conservation department now, depending on the material type, will use the chemicals or the different ways of taking care of the artifacts. Once this is done, They are sent back to the finds unit and we put them in storage, waiting for persons to come and look at them and waiting for persons to analyze them. So basically that is
And
it.
then just for our audience's sake, storage now, are they stored in specific containers in specific circumstances?
Oh yes, so we don't just put them in what you call it, in any old box. So the artifacts with their labels are stored in plastic bags. Those that are very delicate, we have specialized paper that we store them in. And the boxes have to be acid free. Yes, they're acid free boxes. So what we do is put them in these boxes so that they won't break out, and acid free means that the chemicals that make up the box won't interfere with the artifacts. The artifacts are then placed into storage where the temperature of the rooms are fixed according to the type of artifact. So you would not put metal in somewhere where you have high humidity because it will start rusting again. You understand? So we have to make sure that everything that is stored is in a controlled area.
Okay. So my next question is kind of twofold,
Yes.
because I think I know when your answer is going to be, so then my follow-up question. So, you've been at the JNHT for 30 years.
30 years.
30
yes.
and counting.
Yes.
And you must have been on some really interesting sites throughout the island.
Yes.
So if you could give me like maybe your top 2 most interesting or your top 2 favorite sites.
All right. If I were an optical archaeologist, then it would be underwater in Port Royal. But my favorite site, and let me tell Johnnycon people, it is not every site that we go on that we find artifacts. So believe me, sometimes we're very disappointed. But my favorite site to date is White Marl in St. Catherine. Yeah.
That's why I said I knew what your answer was.
White Marl in St. Catherine, believe me.
And why was that your favorite site?
If I did not know that the Chinos existed, that is a site that would make me know that they existed. Because one of the biggest sites we have so far that we have known, and we found a lot of pottery. We found things that really
And whole type pottery, not just
we found
shards.
Yeah, we found shards and we found whole pieces. But listen, when we find in whole pieces, we have to be very careful. So it's not like we find a pot on the ground and we just pick it up. It takes time. Sometimes if we don't find the whole pieces, then we find all the shards, and then we can put it back together. So this is where conservation also comes in. And we do not use ponal. There's a particular, they make the paste that will paste because we don't want to put the artifacts in danger. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to use any chemical that will cause it to deteriorate even further. So yes, we do. We also found human remains. And this has given us the proof that the Chinese were actually here. It also gave us insight on their burial customs. It gave us what their family life was, and how close-knit they were. We found post holes, and that persons were actually living there. It was eye-opening. I know I have been on a lot of sites, but this one was eye-opening.
Because like when I was in school, a lot of the anthropology students had to do archaeology and vice versa, because archaeology and anthropology go hand in hand. Because anthropology is the study of humans' way of life, but archaeology gives you the evidence of their way of life. Yes. So my follow-up question was, do they do carbon dating? Is carbon dating done in Jamaica by JNHT?
No, we do not do that because it is an expensive venture, and we haven't had anybody specialize in it. So that's how we end up collaborating with other persons, other universities who will have a machinery and they will have equipment that will help us to do the dating. Not only carbon dating, but we also have been doing DNA research with Harvard University. So the human remains. They tell us exactly what they want, and then we will send it to them, and they will send us back the information.
Also, as you mentioned, the human remains from Nightmare. So the ACIJ our work here is to document Jamaica's culture. So if Mr. Pastor at some point could include some pictures that we have here from the White Barrow side, you might see Mrs. Owen brought with some of these pictures.
Yes.
So you when I see these pictures, it was like real interesting to see.
Yes,
like,
yes.
Cause burial from hundreds of years ago is much different from
right, yes.
So
yes.
it was interesting. So we'll try to insert some of those photos to see.
Yes, and if you do have those pictures, we use a trowel. We did not use a backhoe. We use a trowel, and some of them were like over 7-8 feet deep. The excavated pits.
I remember there was out by I think Fort Rocky. And when you see them down in the pits.
Yes.
And I think they were telling us a story one day it started to rain and people were still down there, and I was like, oh, that got end up.
But that's the nice side of archaeology.
It's happened very exciting.
Yes, and as I said, all the units take part. So not because you're in a research unit, all of us have to go out and all of us have to do the excavation and then come back to our various areas.
And then right here written down. So just tell me a little bit more of preservation of buildings, because if you all don't know, Jamaica has several national heritage sites which have been vetted and vetted by the JNHT. So you mentioned preservation of buildings. So what's this kind of look like?
All right. So just like how we conserve the movable pieces, we do the same thing to the buildings. So we look at the material type and whatever needs to be preserved, meaning stop decaying, the conservation unit does that. So we do try to preserve. If the building cannot be saved, we make sure that we record everything. Persons who want their buildings to be declared, so a national monument or be protected, we also do that. So that is one way of also preserving, and we give them advice on how to take care of the buildings.
So not sure. Let me ask my question.
Right.
So when it's declared a national monument,
yes,
is there funds that go towards it? Is there a fund that goes towards its preservation?
Not at this time.
Or it's still up to the owner?
Not at this time. We're hoping that
something that's on the books.
Yes, it is. But we rely on the owner. We give them advice. We hopefully one day they will have funding from us. But right now we rely on the owner to take care of the buildings.
Okay, because in some countries overseas that I've been to, certain buildings declare national monument.
Yes.
It's sitting at this. And it's the city that actually takes care.
Yes.
I think in some cases, city actually has JNHT ever bought any buildings from private persons?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know if when they were the Jamaica Trust Commission, if they did anything like that, but since they have become Jamaica National Heritage Trust, I'm not sure. But we have protected buildings. So we have like Buxton House at Michael, we have Liberty Hall, and we have St. Peter's Church, to name a few. We also have heritage districts. So we have like Falmouth and Black River. Right. So persons who are doing anything in that area, they need to get in touch with the JNHT first, and you will advise them.
You hear that, people? If you think your building could be declared a national monument or a national heritage site, please get in touch with the JNHT. Don't try to Indiana Jones your way out of it. I know the professionals to do their job. That's what are here for. Alright, so I don't have any more questions. I think we pretty much discussed out everything.
Yes.
Just one last one. So do you you already said it. I was gonna ask you if you work with any other local agencies in culture, but you
really
answered that. Alright, so is there anything else you want to say to the people? You guys have any events coming up?
Okay, so I just want to thank the Jamaican people for taking care. I know not everybody, but for all those who are taking care of our heritage, material cultural heritage, thank you very much. If you need professional help, you can call the JNHT. We have tours every day. So we tour the headquarters house. We have tours for the headquarters house. We have tours for National Heroes Park. There are tours at Civil Great House. Yes. So all these areas, we are hoping that one day we'll have tours for Port Royal, which may be in the near future. We also have different seminars that we put on, and once we have them, they'll be on our website or our different pages, Facebook and so. So we do that. And schools and teachers, you can invite us to come and show the students the all the material cultural heritage. Because sometimes just reading the book alone,
It's not enough.
they try and get tired of it.
And they get really excited when they see
Yes,
the
they do.
artifacts in
They
it.
get tired of it. So we have the range, we have the China artifacts, we have enslaved, African, British, Spanish. So once you're doing a topic and you need us to come, just call the JNHT.
Yes, and don't wait until February.
Oh, no,
Until
please,
October.
please. No. We'll come any day of the year except Saturday and Sunday. Do not wait until Jamaica Day or Heritage Week. Those days were booked out. And even to the private sector and public sector, yeah, we will come. We will come. If you have any event and you need the heritage to be displayed, we'll come and bring the artists.
So one of my most notable outreaches was actually at private sector.
Yeah, man.
One of my friends, she knows what I do, she invited me there, and the people were just so interested. Because a lot of people don't have access to these things
No, they
in
don't.
their everyday life, and you think that they're not interested in it, but once you expose them to it,
And what I have found out, exposing them to it also helps us to protect the artifacts. Because there are sites that we have been on, just either doing field work or just trying to rescue a few artifacts. Persons have come around the community. What are you doing? Persons come on the work site. What are you doing? And you tell them, don't worry. They will protect you. They will be calling you and say, you know, who I saw doing what? With what artifact? Come, miss, come, you need to come and look at it, or sir. But yes, exposing the Jamaican people to what we have also helps us to protect it. And they don't have to say, oh, I need to go to Egypt, I need to go to France. Yes, you can go there. But we have it here too. And one thing I need from the Jamaican people is to make sure that we learn what person before us did. Because that is our value. This is how we will move forward. The Chinos were Stone Age. Yes, just like Flintstones. But they used what they had to make their life much better.
Much better. They were sustainability is not really buzzword.
Yes,
but
yes.
the Chinos,
Yes.
they knew about
Yes, they did. Metal wasn't introduced until the Spanish came, and we knew the type of metals that were introduced, the weapons. So, we at the Heritage Trust, we try, and we are asking the Jamaican people to help us protect our heritage. If you see anything that you think we need to see too, you can inform us. Farmers, backyard gardeners, anybody digging a road, anybody digging the foundation of a building, you can ask us to come and inspect and look to see if there's anything interesting that we can show to the next generation. Yeah. We don't need the children to be only on the tablets and the phones, but they need to see what persons were doing before that.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for me on Curating Culture. It was real exciting, real informative. We learned a lot. Hopefully our audience learned as well. Just a few housekeeping matters. Our exhibition, Jamaica Dancehall Male Fashion, is ending, will be closed at the end of June. So all those who have not seen it yet, please come down and see our exhibition before it closes. It's real interesting, real informative. It will show you things that it will make you think about things you've never thought about before, when it comes down to the genre of dancehall and the fashion of the men in the dancehall space. Also, please follow us on all our social media: Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook at ACIJJMB. Also, I'm going to plug for JNHT too. Follow JNHT on their social media so you can see all their work. Anything else? I think that is it for housekeeping matters. So until next month, thank you for watching.